What's going on, guys? Austin O'Neill here with Lime Leaf Garden. Today we're going to be going a little more in depth on mandarins, or any kind of orange tree for that matter. Just going to be giving you a few tips on growing your own, whether you live in a warm climate, cold climate, whatever your climate may be. It's just going to be a full guide on taking care of those fruit trees and growing them yourself. Thank you for your input. But with that being said, we're going to step outside where there's a little more room and also not as many screaming quail. Let's get right into the video. Alright, so we're outside where we have a little bit more room, and also you can hear me. But with me I've got my bingo mandarin. Now there are a lot of different varieties of oranges, mandarins, clementines, all the different things. So really the number one thing is figuring out which ones that you like. So if you want like the cuties that you get from the store, a clementine is a really good option to go for. And as far as care, these are all going to be about the same. Now, like I said, this one here in particular, the bingo mandarin, is very, very similar to a cutie. Easy to peel, no seeds or anything like that. So I really enjoy it. I actually had a few good fruit come off of it last season, and I'm hoping to get the same this season as well. Now, as far as getting fruit trees, there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. You can get them from farmers markets, Etsy. There's also stores online that you can just order from as well. Just make sure that the person that you're getting it from is a trusted source, and they're not going to send you any diseased or dead plants. Me personally, I get all mine from a little Etsy store, which I'll leave a link for in the description below. Now, as far as planting, it's a good idea to figure out which grows on your end. So if you're in a colder climate, obviously you're not going to be able to plant it in the ground, so you need to opt for the pots, which this one here is in a pot. Technically I could plant this one outdoors. It's just I'm waiting until it gets a little more established before I do so. But if you are opting to plant in ground, then the best place for any fruit tree, citrus wise, is going to be on the south side of your house. That way it gets full sun throughout the day. Alright, so as far as planting your fruit tree, once you actually have gotten it from the store or wherever it is that you got it, the next and most important thing is going to be planting. So let's talk soil first. It's going to need a sandy, loamy soil. So I'm not saying 50% sand. It's just a good idea to have that drainage within your soil, because it doesn't want wet feet. However, it does want to stay quite moist. So in my last video, if you saw that, I talked about the finger sticking it down to that second knuckle. If it's wet, then there's no need to water. If it's dry, go ahead and give it a healthy watering. They like to be watered a lot all at once, more than a little bit over time. Now, as far as the depth of planting your fruit tree, there's really two main things that you have to pay attention to. Number one being the grafting point. And if you're not sure what a grafting point is, I can do a video a little more in-depth of this here. It's basically a rootstock that someone is taking a clipping of another type of fruit tree and grafted it on, or glued it together in a sense, to make this the type of orange that you want. You cannot, I repeat, cannot have the soil above the graft point. This will kill the tree. Now, the next thing that you need to pay attention to is going to be the feeder roots. You don't want those to be buried too deep down in the soil, because this is going to be getting all the nutrients and everything from the top layer of soil. Back onto the soil, you definitely want to have some good compost in there, fertilizers. They actually make a organic fruit tree fertilizer that you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever big box stores near you. Or if you don't want to go with those options, you can always find them online as well. Espoma makes a really, really good organic fertilizer that you can use for all citrus fruit trees. Now, as far as the grafting that I was talking about, that's a really cool option, because you can actually take one fruit tree and have about, really and truly as many as you want, different fruit or orange options. You can have clementines on one branch, you can have blood oranges on another branch, you can have mandarins on another branch, and it just goes on and on. But you would basically take one clipping from the tree that you want and graft it onto this tree at any point, and that will allow you to grow that variety from that point on. Now, as far as sun, citrus requires a lot of sunlight. Typically 6 to 10 hours out of the day you need it to have sunlight, but you don't want to allow the branches to burn, as I did in the case with my key lime tree. As you can see here, the branches are quite burned. So it's a good idea to get an organic, natural paint that you can actually paint all the branches and the rootstock with as well. As far as fruit production goes, in the first couple of years, I know it's going to suck, but you need to take off a few of the fruit that produce. This will allow the foliage and everything to grow more fully, what you want in those first couple of years. You want the branches in the tree to actually be more established. That way it can hold the fruit a lot better. And also, the more that you take off in the first couple of years, the more you'll have later on because you have more branch growth. It's a sacrifice, but it is a sacrifice that is worth it. I wanted to touch on the different varieties one more time, just because there's so many different oranges out there. Like I've named blood oranges and mandarins and clementines and all the different things, but it's really just a personal preference at that point, which is the fun part about growing orange trees in particular. Now, my personal favorite is the Sumo mandarin, technically named the Shirnai mandarin. Now this is basically a cutie, about the size of a grapefruit, super easy to peel, no seeds or anything. There's so many possibilities out there as far as growing oranges. So probably one of my favorite to grow. Of course, I really like limes as well, just because there are a lot of varieties there as well. So make sure you pick out the orange variety that you actually enjoy and experiment a little, have a little fun. That's the best part about gardening and growing fruit trees that you wouldn't be able to normally grow. It's fun. It's seeing all the different possibilities that are out there, and yeah. You can still hear the quail in the background talking it up, telling me all about it. But yeah, if there are any more questions that you might have that I did not answer in this video, just let me know down in the comments. And also, what is your favorite orange variety? Let me know down in the comments. I just want to see what everyone else out there likes. If you want a video on a particular type of orange tree, just let me know. I'm going to do videos on lime trees, lemons, and all the other different types of fruit trees out there. So if you like this video, just let me know. Leave a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. I appreciate you watching the video, and I hope you have a blessed day. Happy New Year.